Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Thursday, 2 days before the Premier League gets back up and running again. Well, I think 2 days, I haven't actually checked if there's a Friday night game, but obviously 3 days to Arsenal are in action. 2 p.m. on Sunday afternoon at Watford. Mikel Arteta's press conference ahead of that game will be tomorrow at London Colney, 1:30 p.m, so keep your eyes peeled on that one. Interesting to see what comes on that. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely dominated by talk of Chelsea, Abramovich, and obviously the war going on in Ukraine at the moment. No doubt Mikel will face some questions about that. It'll be interesting to see what his response are. We'll certainly get team news update, you'd imagine. So the very latest, you'd say probably on Takahiro Tomiyasu and his fitness. So yeah, as I said, eyes peeled on that. 1:30 p.m. tomorrow for that. I wanted to sort of talk a little bit at the start of this video anyway about Bukayo Saka and his contract at Arsenal. I get lots of questions all the time about Bukayo Saka. What's happening with Bukayo? Is he going to stay? I mean, look, I can't answer that for now. For now, we are way out from any sort of decision on that. From what I understand, there's no contract talks going on with Bukayo Saka at the moment. There's no contract talks going on with anyone at the moment. That's all going to take place at the end of the season. Mikel Arteta's already, previously gone on a record and admitted that. Of course, Arsenal will want Bukayo Saka to sign a new contract. I mean, it's not rocket science. There's absolutely no way they'd want him to run down his contract or put themselves in a position where maybe he only has 1 year to go. He will have 2 years left in the summer, so that's where you think, look, this is where Arsenal need to act, and they do need to start acting fast. I mean, you always say, there's no rush on some players, but when it comes to someone like Saka, who everyone in Europe would want, Arsenal are going to have to certainly pull their finger out and start convincing Bukayo and his agent. I mean, it wasn't the easiest last time around. He always felt at the time when he signed that contract, it wasn't like a 5-year deal, was it? And he always felt at the time, I think it was only 4, and he felt, oh God, within 2 years you're going to be back in this situation again. And 2 years later, here we are. Bukayo is going to be in a very, very strong position. Obviously, of course he is. And my thoughts on it are that, if Arsenal are going to keep the likes of Bukayo Saka at the club, who is a player who everyone in Europe, as I said, will want, then they need to start, living up to his sort of ambitions. You can't rely on the whole Hail End, the emotional tie for too long. That might last for 1 contract, possibly 2. But when you're as good as Saka, when you've got this higher ceiling as Saka, and you've got everyone in Europe basically knocking on your door saying, look, come here, we'll take you. You can win trophies here. That emotional tie will only go so much. You don't get Steven Gerrards every day to decide to stay their whole career at one club. It just doesn't really happen anymore. I'd love it to happen when it comes to Arsenal and Smith Rowe and Saka, but there's going to come a time when clubs are going to start knocking, and for Saka that will be around now because he's only got 2 years left on his contract, so there will be certainly things going on behind the scenes in terms of feeling out the agent, talking about what potential money could be, and so Arsenal are going to have to deal with that, and they're going to have to show not just in the talks with the agent and Saka in terms of money and what we're going to give you, they're going to have to start showing on the pitch as well that they can match his ambitions, and hopefully, look, things are going in the right direction. If Arsenal can get themselves in the Champions League, that'd be a massive boost. And for Bukayo, there's no rush. You don't want to. I mean, he's still very, very young, isn't he? So there's no rush for him to think, I have to win trophies right now. So Arsenal do have that on their side as well with this one. And Bukayo is very, very happy at Arsenal. He loves Arsenal. He loves the fact he's come through from Hail End. He's very settled here, no doubt about that. He's not a player behind the scenes who's going to be causing unrest and going to be start itching for a move already. It's just a case of, can the club match his ambitions and can they pay him enough money? In terms of, can they pay him enough money? Yes, they can. There's no doubt that Arsenal will be able to pay Bukayo Saka what he wants at this stage of his career. It's the other one that is where Arsenal are going to have to show that they mean business, and touch wood, right now they are doing that. They're where they want to be when you look at the league table, they're not, because they've got games in hand, blah blah blah, but they're right in the mix for the top 4, which is where they want to be. In fact, it's actually ahead of where they thought they might be. This wasn't really at the start of this season. I don't think anyone at Arsenal realistically thought top 4 was something they were really going to go for. I think it was going to be a case of more get yourself back into Europe and then continue with that development. I think Arsenal are probably, even by their own admission, a little bit ahead of schedule this season because of the good work Mikel Arteta has done and that the team has done. And that will absolutely help when it comes to Bukayo. And I understand lots of you are sending me messages going, why aren't we talking? Why isn't this done? Why haven't we got it wrapped up yet? It's just not easy. We see how many players now wind their contracts down. I mean, Arsene Wenger said it years ago. I remember during the Ozil Sanchez saga, Wenger was always saying, look, more and more players are going to run the contracts down now. This is the way football's going. And he's been proved absolutely right. You look at the amount of free agents who are going to be on the market this summer. Huge. I mean, Kylian Mbappe, 4 years ago, he was it to PSG for however much, 150 million. 4 years later, he's about to walk away on a free transfer. At his age, it's unbelievable. But it's the way football's going. And Arsenal are going to have to deal with that when it comes to Bukayo Saka as well. And going to have to try and ensure that he is not in that situation, and I don't think he will be. I hope he won't. I hope he'll see sense. I do know that his agent's not the easiest agent to deal with when it comes to contract talks, so Arsenal are going to have to sort of deal with that. I mean, they're well versed in it. He's not the only player that this agent has. He's got Eddie Nketiah. They've done the contract negotiation with Saka before for the previous contract, so they know how it works, and fingers crossed that it'll all be done in the summer and Arsenal can move forward. It's got to be one of the big priorities this summer, no doubt about it. Yes, they need to go out and sign a few strikers and maybe a central midfielder and a backup right back, and get boosting that squad is got to be a priority, but also you've got to look after your own, and you've got to get Bukayo Saka tied down. That has to be right at the top of the list when it comes to Eddie's job this summer, because it's absolutely essential. Arsenal need to build their team around these players: Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, is another contract who needs to be sorted out, Gabriel Martinelli. So lots of work for Eddie to do. That's why he's paid the big bucks, and he needs to get it done this summer. So that's my thoughts on the situation when it comes to Bukayo Saka's contract. Let's talk about Watford, shall we? Sunday, who is going to start in that game against Watford? Massive game. They're all massive games, as I said yesterday. There are no just sort of easy games anymore. This is all, as Mikel Arteta said a few weeks ago, every game is a cup final now, and Arsenal, since Arteta has said that, have won 3 out of 3, 9 points out of 9, which is exactly what you want at this stage of the season. They're the one that has seized the initiative in the race for the top 4. Others have dropped points in the last couple of weeks. Arsenal haven't. They've picked up maximum points. They need that to continue because they've got some tough fixtures coming up. You look at this one, Watford away. Got to be getting 3 points from this one, no doubt about it. Watford obviously fighting for their lives, blah blah blah, cliche, but they are, and they're not going to give Arsenal anything free, so Arsenal are going to have to go there, try and get themselves in front, and then you think if they can get that first goal, then they can maybe, Watford heads will drop and they can go on and get the win that they need to get. I mean, it's not been the happiest hunting ground for Arsenal recently, Vicarage Road. I remember the 2-1 defeat when Tom cleverly got that last minute winner when Wenger was in charge. Remember that weird game that almost started for me the downfall of Unai Emery, the 2-2 when Arsenal were 2-0 up at Vicarage Road. I think Aubameyang scored twice, didn't he, in the first half. Watford came back to 2-2. They had 32 shots on Arsenal's goal or something. It was just such a bizarre game. Arsenal basically played without a midfield, and it was just felt like that was the point when everything started to go downhill for Arsenal and Unai Emery in that one. So, they're going to have to play a hell of a lot better than that to get the points, and you'd hope they will. I mean, Arsenal are in a strong position going into that game when it comes to injuries, team news, unless stuff gone on behind the scenes we don't know about this week. Obviously, we'll find out more from Arteta on Friday, but when it comes to team news, he doesn't always tell the truth, does he? I think we all understand that. But you're looking at it as really the main option. I mean, I'm presuming that Tomiyasu's not going to be fit. He's not been in training. And even if he is, they're not going to rush him straight back. So Tomiyasu's not going to play. I'd be stunned if he played. So that, it's not really a tough decision when it comes to the right back, because it's going to be Cedric, who's playing very, very well at the moment, and is performing ably as Tomiyasu's understudy, which is good news. And then you just look at the left-hand side, don't you? Smith Rowe and Martinelli. That's the only really big decision facing Mikel ahead of the game at Watford. Who do you start in that one? I said yesterday, and I stick with it. I think Smith Rowe will probably start. If he's fit, he starts. I think Martinelli's been great the last couple of months, no doubt about it. He's come in, he's seized his opportunity. He's reminded everyone of just how sort of promising and exciting a player he can be. I think he's shown he's a much more well-rounded player now than perhaps he was when he burst onto the scene, when he scored all those goals, but was very sort of head down type player. I think he's got much more about him right now, and he's shown that over the last couple of months. But I thought he struggled a little bit in the last game against Wolves, wasn't it? He got taken off in the second half of that one, and I just feel with Smith Rowe's fit, given how he played against Brentford before he picked up that illness, I think Smith Rowe comes into this side now. I'd be surprised if he's left on the bench, but we'll have to wait and see. But you'd think that is the only real decision facing Mikel ahead of this Watford game, providing everyone else is all right. It's just who plays on the left-hand side of that attack, because we know it's going to be Saka on the right, Odegaard at 10, Lacazette as central striker. It'll be Partey and Xhaka in midfield, and then Cedric, White, Gabriel, Tierney and Aaron Ramsdale. So it's just that left-hand side of the attack. And let me know who you think should start in that one. Are you like me? Do you think Smith Rowe probably should get the nod for this one, or do you want to see Martinelli keep his place in the team and Smith Rowe just come back on the bench and be that spark off the substitutes bench that we saw him be in December when he came on plenty of times? As I said yesterday, again, I think those two players are going to be so key off the bench. Nicolas Pepe as well, as he showed it against Wolves last time out. I think when you're coming on with half an hour to go, whoever plays on the left, whether it be Martinelli or Smith Rowe, the one who doesn't play has got a big part to play when he comes on in the second half as that substitute between now and the end of the season. Nicolas Pepe as well on the right hand side, and it's a good thing for Mikel to have those sort of attacking options, because you feel they're going to need it, and they could be the people who make the difference, like Pepe was against Wolves. Team news latest ahead of it, obviously we've discussed Arsenal. Smith Rowe, Tomiyasu looks like the only real issue. Kieran Tierney limped off in that game against Wolves with what looked like a calf injury, maybe it was cramp, we're not quite sure, but he's been training, so Kieran Tierney should be absolutely fine for this one. I'd be very surprised if he misses out. But in terms of Watford, I mean, it doesn't seem like they've got too many issues. They've got Nicholas Nkulu, who he's got a hamstring problem. He's probably not going to be risked, although he's getting close to a return. Peter Atubu's been out with a knee injury, played in under 23 games recently, but he doesn't seem like he's going to feature certainly from the start if he is included against Arsenal. So other than that, I think Roy Hodgson's going to stick to what he's gone with in the last couple of weeks. Watford have, would you say, picked up a little bit? Obviously, they got a very, very good win against Aston Villa fairly recently, but results haven't exactly turned on their heads since Roy Hodgson came in. So I don't think Arsenal are going to be facing a team that are absolutely brimming full of confidence by any means when they go to Vicarage Road. And it's just one of those games that you look at. If you want to get top four, you can't slip up in these sort of games for Arsenal. We've seen the other teams slip up recently, and Arsenal, to their credit, haven't. They've got those two massive wins home and away against Wolves, with the Brentford win sandwiched in between. And they did an awful lot of good work in those two games against Wolves. We all remember the celebrations after Lacazette's goal at the end, and you can't go from that to then dropping points against Watford. It would just be criminal, really. Arsenal have got to make sure they continue with this momentum that they've built up, and they go to Watford and they win these games, because like I said earlier, they've got some really tough fixtures coming up: Manchester United, Chelsea, Tottenham, Liverpool. So you're not going to get maximum points from those games. Just know that's not going to happen. So you've got to play in these other matches. You've got to keep the wins up, keep the pressure on, keep yourself in pole position when it comes to this top four race, because there's no doubt it is going to go right to the wire. Finally, just before I go, I spoke about it yesterday. Obviously, big news when it comes to Roman Abramovich. He has now, since I'd recorded the last video, he has now openly admitted that he is going to sell Chelsea. He's in the process of trying to sell Chelsea. He's inviting bidders. We don't know who it's going to be yet. And yeah, it's been a weird reaction, really, for me, the whole Abramovich thing. I mean, there's no doubt, I said it yesterday, he's changed the face of English football since he came in. Not for the good, in terms of, well, certainly my point of view. The money he came in and spent, it took finances to another level. Everyone else had to go beyond their means to try and keep pace with it. The financial doping that Wenger used to talk about all the time, I mean, he's absolutely spot on. We know this money is not, it's come from very, very dodgy means, there's no doubt about it. As we're seeing now, because he's now scarpering and trying to get out of the country before he gets all his money and his assets seized. Why he's been seems to be given a bit of leeway, I don't know, from the government. When you look around the world, what everyone else is doing with the oligarchs and their assets are being seized left, right and centre, yet in England they seem to be given time to try and sell their football club and do a runner before they can. And I'm not going to get into this big political debate about it anyway, but I mean, it's huge news for the Premier League, no doubt about it. I mean, for London football, it's going to make a big impact, there's no doubt. Chelsea, are they going to be able to live in that basic world where they could go and shell out 70 odd million on Kepa, not work out, and then go straight away and shell out another 40 million on whoever, on Mendy? are they going to be able to do that anymore without the backing of Abramovich? You would think not. Certainly if they go to an American owner or American consortium type, they don't really do that. So Chelsea maybe going to have to live more in the world of Arsenal and Liverpool when it comes to finances, and try and spend their money wisely rather than just throwing it around. And if they do make a mistake, they can go and it doesn't really matter, because they can just go and spend more money and rectify that mistake. So definitely going to have a big impact on football, no doubt about it. And it's going to be interesting to watch over the coming weeks, days, who takes over, who the new owner of Chelsea will be. Like I said, I'm sure that'll be something Mikel Arteta is asked about at tomorrow's press conference. Keep your eyes peeled for all the latest from that at London Colney, 1:30 p.m. That gets underway. Until then, have a very good day, everyone. Thank you very much for watching. As always, I'll speak to you soon.